once a week, roughly, most of the time. And yeah, this is a new era of this channel. We're going to explore different topics, and it's from the neurocreative leadership perspective, which is a fancy word for saying um, that we've got diversity on one side and neurodiversity, the scope of all human brains, and um, and how they react and respond and learn in their environment on one side, and we have um, inclusion on the other, where we all want to be included. So we're unique beings, diverse. It's a scope of diversity, and then there's diversity and inclusion being on the other side of the scale, where we all want to be together or equal, as it treated as equals in a lot of ways, or at least equitable and within reason. So there's diversity, neurodiversity, neuro inclusion, and that's it's a new field in a lot of ways in how we can understand each other and just allow each other to be who we are, and with our strengths and our weaknesses, and appreciate what we can take as strengths, or where we can allow someone to have faults that have come along from wherever in the past. And and then neurocreativity is what I call new creativity leadership, neurocreative leadership, um, is to take both of the diversity and inclusion and make responsibility, have responsibility for that. So to take responsibility. So this is a new ideas, new concepts on old traditional ideas, bringing them all together as how we can move forwards as humans in society and become the leaders of our own lives as neurodiverse, potentially heart-centered neurodiverse creatives. It doesn't have to be art. We can be artists of our lives and treat our lives and who we want to be with, the relationships and our work as the art in itself, or how we get things done. We want to get things done aligned with our values, and that's where I'm coming back to this first long, longish talk. I'm going to keep them as relatively as short as possible, but they're a bit more long form. And it's going to be talking into the values and what's important about values. Um, because they've really helped me along the way defining my highest values. And the the mind in itself, um, it it even if someone says they're multitasking, they're potentially learnt to do something so well that they don't have to think of it so consciously, so they can kind of act it out whilst thinking of something else. However, the focus and the action is often, if we're actually tuning in deliberately to a focus to make it actually powerful and build on it or learn and grow from that one particular action or thought or feeling or doing, it can't be uh, double streamed, as it were. It can't be thinking of a or worrying about something whilst also thinking positively at the same time, as a general rule. And obviously, but we're all wired differently. Some people, again, can be multitasking on this and having multiple, maybe they do have multiple thoughts at the same time, and that's really, really even newer than talking about neurodiversity, as fascinating topics around how the brain works. And so, but just to come back to the idea that when we are present to values and we are present to a value in that particular moment, we can't be also present to something else. So it's important to practice not multitasking and get those stronger values in place so that we can our decisions become aligned. It's almost like the value is the sort of the tunnel to go down to get something done, whilst knowing that that's the direction I want to go down, rather than that tunnel over there is going to take me down that route today or that route of life, and that tunnel is going to take me down that one. Um, the value helps me to not be stressed, to know why I'm doing it, give me a sense of purpose and passion whilst I do it. So values getting there's so many different types of values, practical ones and theoretical ones and emotional ones and um, ones that um, are shared and some that are very unique again. So getting clear on values can be so useful because, I developed a tool that helped me through not knowing how to describe myself or my ideas in group conversations. I believed I was more introverted and I didn't realize I was dyslexic until I was 33 and how all that anxiety, social anxiety of wanting to speak an idea, but the words and the feelings and the thoughts of just the feelings would override the the actual ability to talk my ideas. I couldn't get all the idea out without it getting broken or and just I'd come away from social situations really upset if I was trying to be in conversation. So I just kind of gave up along the way with that and just stayed in non-verbal communication. And I loved music. I played in bands before to regulate my nervous system and DJ'd. I'd go to parties and or I'd dance and then I would communicate through just having fun with my body and dancing and connecting with people on the dance floor because that was so much easier for me. And I didn't know that it was possible to train whatever I wanted to train in life as part of a function in my brain. So so the reason why I'm saying that is that I went through a lot of mental health crisis in my early 20s, um, burnout, mental exhaustion, a short period of psychosis, which wasn't that short, but it was acutely short, um, over a number of, it was building up. It was a number of weeks there where I was really, really couldn't switch off at all and I was in extreme paranoia. And I healed through natural means. I had reflexology for 14 weeks, once a week, regularly, like clockwork, and I got better. And I was like, well, if that's possible, and my personality and my brain is possible to change, and what is actually mental health? What is and I got into physical health because I didn't really know how to deal with talking or studying in the mind at that point in my early 20s. So I did physical therapies and stuff like that. The reason why I'm sharing all this is because I was like fascinated with health from that there on and wanted to help people to de-stress because I knew that was the one thing that could help with their mind and their stress and their health was relaxing their body. And so massage, I got into massage and then osteopathy and studied osteopathy and discovered I was dyslexic. But coming out of all of that and the pandemic kind of bringing up this whole idea of present to that it's normal to feel anxious, that it's almost like the gift of the pandemic was to reset things and have us be okay and be have to research to learn overall how to manage our mental health because it was going along without knowing or thinking it was such a taboo to talk about mental health conditions. So so values in themselves, I got coached a number of different ways and I studied it fanatically because I love studying things fanatically and really loving understanding them. And so the values piece developed a system of being able to give up alcohol because I still wanted to go dancing. I still wanted to see who I could resonate and have conversations with as I was practicing. Learning the coaching was a way for me to learn how to have conversations in itself. So it's all helped, I've not avoided what I need to get stronger at in order to balance out my brain and in life. So and and I developed a system of cards that gives me a value and on the back, and I can just pick one at random if I'm feeling spicy or a bit anxious. And so if I'm reminded, if I pull one now, and it's freedom. So freedom to me, and I've defined like my eight highest values on these cards. Um, and I'm gonna talk about freedom next week with an amazing coach and colleague and compadre that helped me to get into the leadership trainings and helped me with my values. This is a perfect one to pull because there's eight of them. Um, it's got a different color as well. So the color is also to provide, to share give out freedom. So we'll talk about freedom next week. Um, however, um, my point being is that I'm reminded of freedom. So freedom to or values in themselves. If I'm suddenly reminded of of a value, the freedom to give, to share freedom. What is it to provide or share freedom as a concept? If I'm suddenly reminded of that concept, then it gives me that sense of passion and purpose that I've defined for myself. And I'm reminded of that in that moment because half, nine, so much of the time, the things that we're worrying about from the past or into the future, yes, the past has already happened, but and the future hasn't happened, and we're reminded of what happens if the past happens again, and all that stuff is there to make sure we're safe and protected. However, it's not actually happening. So so it's filtering through what am I worrying about? Can I turn that worry into discernment to choose um what is important to move forwards with? So I hope that's landing. If you're here, if you want to say hello or give us a comment, then be happy to hear from you. Any questions or any highlights. If you get a little, oh, I like that, then stick it in the comments and share because when you have an insight and you type it or say it, you're also creating neural pathways to repeat something, to learn something, and that's where we all learn and grow something positive and work with each other as we go along. So I'd love to know what you get from these things, and if you like or share it, even better because maybe there's someone else that really needs to hear this right now. So so yeah, highest values, reminding myself of them, then I can reduce that overwhelm to a sense of okay, maybe just feeling fear right now for some reason, and it may be the fear of taking an action to grow, and so the value will help me to discern better whether or not it's a real fear, and I get to just step away and do something else, and I don't need to think about that or do that or do take a different action to use up that energy. Um, or because fear in itself is neutral and it's there to protect and it sparks all the other um emotions in a way that is there to protect and so fear is a real um, appropriate mechanism to make sure we either take an action or don't take an action, fight or flight, or if we can recognize it and it's not actually necessary, it's not actually happening, and then we can just use the values to calm down and take a different action, or take an action that's in alignment with the value. So when I think of sharing out freedom, um, as I talk about these values, um, then potentially that's giving you a sense of freedom to choose what you get from this. And so that's what I get from that value right now. And when I'm thinking more about values, I'm thinking more building progress, growth mindset. I'm thinking about learning. I'm thinking about ways in which I feel expansive rather than stressed or overwhelmed and contractive. And it's okay to contract. It's okay to go, okay, yeah, I need to take a non-action or have a rest or do something different. And that's okay too. But just to notice whether there's an opening or a closing with the fear as well. That's what I'm getting from all of that. And we explore varying different values across the weeks in different forms, which ones land, and if there's any values that you are enjoying right now, there's again very practical ones, more like specific values. Like I love table tennis, so that to me That's it's not a higher value. It's not like a emotive value. It's more of a practical. I value table tennis because when I get moving and then play it, it's having fun and passion, and I can just do it. I'm in flow and all those things. So yeah, it helps to get back into flow. Values help to get back into flow of what is important to move forwards with, and yeah. So I think. I'm not going to go into too much detail right now around this. I think there's the importance of values and importance of filtering them out to create highest ones. And what we mean by highest values is that freedom is a, uh, covers a lot of things. So if I was to say, um, uh, um, family and table tennis and and freedom and joy and um what else? Something else, cooking. So say for instance I value all of those things. I can look at it and go, well, table tennis and cooking are practical and they they give me joy. So I can say joy covers those two ones. So they're higher in terms of they are an umbrella to cover a whole load of smaller values. So when we get clear on the higher values, they land in such a more purposeful, powerful way overall in more situations. And so that's why highest values are useful to get clear on. If you wanted to, uh, I do actually run through a value workshop or a value session to work on those and find out what they are for you. So that's another option as well to have. You could even have your own cards if you really do struggle with social anxieties. As heart-centered, we care, but we can be over caring about what other people may think or what we judge if we're judging ourselves. We're oversensitive, then it's important to rein that in, and that energy of caring is so powerful. It's what the world needs, and yet it can be misdirected so much. So if you want to get into your values, then feel free to reach out, send a little a note or a comment or something, and be in touch. And I will put a calendar link into the comments of this video as well for a quick 15-minute speed curiosity call if you're interested in any other things that I do to work with neurocreative leadership skills and leading our lives better as heart-centered neurodiverse creatives that sometimes we don't feel like we fitted into society so well, or that creativity is not as valued as business and all those things that I used to think as a story. And actually, we can combine the two, work together as teams of creatives, heart-centered creatives, to create businesses that are sustainable mentally and physically, and um, and refine our solitary practice, our self-care, our our productivity for what we're creating as projects, and then the collaborative piece. So the solitary piece is so important, and the collaborative piece is so important, and they again could be more. They could be valued in different ways. So solitary work for introverts may be more easy than extroverts, and then extroverts. This is like very broad. Extroverted people that like energy around other people may find the solitary work but love the collaborative work piece. So it's actually finding teams that work with have a bit of both, and that's all very fascinating. Again, that we don't have to do business on our own, make great businesses, and we can create projects that are prosperous and passionate and purposeful and do it um, with more ease and flow by being together. So I hope that all lands well and you've enjoyed the watching. If you've liked it, then give it a like, give it a comment, share what you've got from it, any questions, and have a wonderful day. And let's expand human potential together as neuro creative leaders.